Eric, you sort of addressed this pregame also about being able to finish, being able to step up. For 40 minutes, you went toe-to-toe with the defending champions. Then what happened?
Then they do what they've done a lot this year. You know, they've had quite a few of these games, where they've been in the balance, and then when they want to put on the Jets, they've been able to leave teams behind the dust, and that's what it felt like tonight. It felt like they just flipped a switch in those last 4 minutes. Jackson was a big part of it. Murray was on the bench, and they were basically running those typical two-man actions that they run with Murray and Jokic, but they did it with Jackson, and he was doing his best facsimile of Murray. And then at that point, it just created enough juice and separation that they had that extra kick, down the stretch. And, clearly it was a struggle for us to score. We had moments, and that's fine, actually, like if we could have kept it in the mud. But they had their burst, and then we stayed where we were, and that was basically the game.
I know it's kind of what Denver does, but what did they do to keep you guys off the three-point line for most of the night?
Yeah, that is what they do. To me, it felt like we passed up some open threes. I don't think it would have been 43-point attempts, but certainly, it should have been 10, 12 more. Passed up open ones and then drove it into their size. If you pass up, some open ones, you're not going to get a better one. And there were definitely, probably half dozen of those where we end up getting a worse shot by passing up one. And that also keeps the defense honest. You have to work all different aspects of your offense, and we weren't necessarily able to do that tonight, and that's a credit to Denver. I said that when we played them in Denver. They're one of the more underrated defensive teams, and since All-Star break, they've kind of turned it on that side of the floor. So we couldn't get into our normal, rhythm. We certainly needed to, take a few more of them.
I suppose speaking of their defense, Jimmy only had 2 free throw attempts tonight. They've been a little down over the last 4 games or so. Like, is there a common thread there as to why?
Yeah, I don't know, but I think that's an adjustment from the league. Staff has been talking about that. I didn't receive a memo about it, but it's clear that they're calling it a little bit more like that. So, hey, we have to make the adjustment, and I think that's a good adjustment. Go to score, not necessarily to draw fouls. Now, Jimmy's got a rugged game, so he's not going to draw fouls. He's going to wherever the contact may be. And, yeah, from my vantage point, it looks like some of those, are fouls. Certainly in the last 3 or 4 games, that those were typically, fouls. But that's not why we're losing games. He'll make the adjustment, whether he has to just go into shot-making mode. That might have to be the adjustment. I have to do a better job, getting our guys into their strength zones where we can still be aggressive and attack, but hit different parts of our menu. And we'll get to work on that. Yes, it's frustrating, but all we're going to focus on is what we can do to get better and have a great road trip.
Until those last 3 jumpers that Reggie made, it seemed like Bam was doing about as well as you can possibly do in terms of blowing up their bread and butter
There's
stuff.
no one better than the league that can negotiate this. First of all, nobody will go toe-to-toe, minute for minute, against Jokic other than Bam. Bam signs up for that, and he'll put himself out there and be vulnerable, to the competition. That's the competitor of all competitors. That just sets the tone, but it is difficult. You have to negotiate so many different things at the top of the floor, in the post. They started to post them up a little bit more, and then once you start getting comfortable with that, go to the 2-man action, and then you have to do pick and roll basketball, and then ball all of a sudden will go back to him, and then now you have to play, him off the dribble and try to, disrupt passing angles and all that. But that's why Bam is Bam. That's why I always say year after year he should be in consideration for Defensive Player of the Year because he can do things and will put himself out there to try to do things that the majority of the league won't because it's easier just to not do it, not because sometimes you're going to get beat. Jokic is a great player, and sometimes you're going to get scored on or foul or you have player pick and roll defense, the ball goes back to him and he scores and somebody else didn't do their job. Like there's a lot of things that go into it. And they're a complex team. You feel like you have a handle on them. I mean, we still held them to 100. You feel like you have a handle on them, and then all of a sudden they can just separate. And those skirmishes, at this point, they do that, I think, better than anybody else in the league.